In the year 1826, Varina Howell was born in Natchez, Mississippi during a family visit with relatives. In her early years, Varina identified and was known as a half-breed due to her family's roots in both the South and North. At the time, they were Whigs, but had some Southern views. Many people of this time didn't like that they were on both sides of the fence. As a young teen in the late 1830s, early 1840s, she temporarily moved to Philadelphia for a higher education at Madame Grelot's Seminary, a boarding school for women. She became very close to her family, who tutored her in the North during her time there, especially since she loved reading books, and was glad to have them for company. After school, she returned home to Natchez. She was 17 and expected to marry because that was the societal standard at the time for young women. She didn't have many prospects for marriage since she was away from home. In 1843, she went to a party where she fell in love with her soon-to-be husband, Jefferson Davis. Her childhood home and the now historical landmark, the Briars in Natchez, is where their wedding was held in 1845. Later on that year, they traveled a perilous, freezing 3-week journey to Washington, D.C. to canvass and campaign for Jefferson to get elected in the U.S. Here, Varina preferred the city because of its vibrant atmosphere and became close friends with the influential women around her. Despite her husband's unfaithfulness and the multiple deaths of her children, Varina stood by him and persisted. The Civil War began, and Varina was left without her husband for a while. They spent years apart writing letters back and forth, and in some of these letters, Varina goes against her husband in saying that the South does not have the resources to win, but that wasn't enough to stop Jefferson. After the war and death of her husband in 1889, she inherited the Beauvoir plantation and sold it under the conditions that it would be used for Confederate veteran homing. Later on, Varina was offered a job by the Pulitzers to write articles in the New York paper, since she needed funds to provide for herself and daughter. They moved to New York City following her love for journalism and city life. In 1893, despite being the First Lady of the Confederacy, she made friends with the First Lady of the Union, and they became a symbol of hope for reuniting the North and South after the war. Articles about them flooded the newspapers, some even written by Varina herself, stating that it was God's will that the North won the war. Varina's journalism united the North and South with her sentimental writings detailing the life of Southern people. People from both sides hated on Varina, but that didn't stop her from speaking her truth.